The last Friday in June is here, and there's been a flurry of news this week. But rest assured, we've sorted through the juicy stories and are ready to dig in. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by producer Layla Muhammad and award-winning Vegas-based writer Kim Foster to talk a possible county commission ethics violation over comped F1 tickets, the dismissal of the indictment of the 6 so-called fake electors, and Life is Beautiful finally being announced in a new form. I'm going to call it Life Light. It's Friday, June 28th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Kim Foster, Layla Muhammad, welcome to the Friday News Roundup.
Woohoo!
Good morning.
Happy to be here.
So let's just jump into these free F1 tickets that are now under scrutiny. Kim, what happened there?
Okay, so at least 4 Clark County commissioners are under investigation by the Nevada Commission of Ethics for accepting free tickets to the F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix. Now, the tickets were valued at around little over $10,000.
Each?
And
or
each.
Collectively?
Mm-hmm.
Holy.
No, each.
Wow.
Each. And the complaints from the Ethics Commission accused the commissioners of violating a Nevada law prohibiting state employees from accepting gifts or using their position to secure privileges unnecessary to fill their jobs. Now, I think unnecessary to fulfill their jobs is where the big argument is. Mm-hmm. Was it important for the county commissioners to be at the F1 event since they worked on it and worked with F1 to, create the event? They managed the problems. They were having to deal with all the construction problems and all the things. So was it important for them to go or not? And that really seems to be the issue at the crux of all this.
Yeah. Well, comp culture, that's what I'm going to call it, because it's been around as long as I've been around in Las Vegas. It's embedded here. At what point you think it crosses the line into, what people are saying might be bribery or at least these ethics violations?
I think it's the county officials that could be the gray area here because, they vote on whether or not to use public funds and whether these events can go forward. But I think, like Kim said, the important thing here is, was it necessary for them to attend to do their jobs? And F1 is really unique because it's trying to be so integrated into Las Vegas, it's going through the streets. So I think it might have been kind of important for the county commissioners to see what's happening at the event. So I don't know if this goes along with the standard Vegas comp culture that we think about,
I mean, they were the high-end tickets, it sounds like.
They were in the skybox. I mean, it wasn't just like they were going to F1, they went to the skybox. But my feeling is that, we had so much dissension around F1 last year. It really was hard for the public. And I feel like if they didn't participate fully, the commissioners, in what was going on, what the race was like, how the setup was, I don't know how they would be able to get us through year 2 or year 10. So it doesn't feel like, also you have to believe that those tickets are worth $10,000 to feel like you get a payout of $10,000. Like if you gave one to me, I wouldn't think like, oh, this is worth $10,000 to me. Right?
Unless you were, out on the street trying to sell it.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But they're not going to sell it.
I don't think anyone is being accused of trying to scalp the freebies that were given to them.
Exactly.
But I mean, a value is a value. And, did they need to go to the skybox, Layla? I mean, I'm guessing nobody was watching how many free nachos they might have scarfed down, or maybe if those nachos had caviar on it. I don't know.
Yeah, and Kim, you mentioned it would be impactful, I think, if like you said, they were involved in what the setup looked like, what the breakdown looked like. But were they involved in that, or did they just attend the event? So I think the commissioners need to come out and, if they are defending themselves, say, oh, I attended to see what it was like, and I saw that the setup was like this and the breakdown was like this, and your criticisms of the event, like, this is what I saw on my end because I went to the event, or I attended meetings with the organizers and saw how they were doing things. So I think that's an important part too. Like, did they just attend, or were they involved in seeing how the event was thrown?
Were they walking around with clipboards at this big event? Were they noting deficiencies? What's up?
Exactly. And I think it's also important to note that the Las Vegas Grand Prix for F1 was already more expensive than other Grand Prix around the world. So the $10,000 ticket price, and I don't want to defend the county commission too much. Like, I don't want to, I have no stake in this, or I don't know them personally, but I think it needs to be noted that the $10,000 ticket price is just more expensive in general.
I mean, that's the part that's really making people, I think, look sideways at this whole deal. But by the same token, I think you both make really good points that, look, they're the county commissioners. They're going to go to the event. The question is, do we care what the actual price of the ticket is? Or in the alternative, I mean, should taxpayers be footing the bill to send our reps to parties that they should be at on some level? Where's that balance?
This is interesting. So I remember talking about this, like, it was very clear that the county commissioners were there. Like, people saw them. Like, they were like, oh, the county commissioners are there, that kind of thing, right?
They weren't sneaking in with wigs and fake mustaches.
No, they were all there. Did anybody did anybody go, oh, that's a little, like, that's not a good look? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't remember thinking that.
Right. And that's the whole thing. It's comps. I mean, that is Vegas. I mean, what does Vegas lose if we lose the comp culture? I mean, is it an artifact of a time gone by that we should get rid of?
Ooh, I don't know. You've been a long time Vegas
Well, no, I'm
person.
asking you. This is a roundtable discussion. Of course I have my opinions on it, but I want to hear from y'all.
I think it depends on if you're a local or a tourist, right? Like, as a local, I don't really care for comp culture. It doesn't really I don't lose anything if Vegas gets rid of comp culture as a local. But as tourists, I know a lot of people who come here and like, oh, I'm already spending thousands of dollars here, so they comped my room. And so I think we might lose like that demographic of tourists who comes here and already spends a lot of money and gets like their hotel room comped or their food comped.
Look, everyone wants to be comped. Everyone wants to be comped.
That's what I'm talking about. And as locals, I'm going to push back on that. I mean, that's part of like the benefit of having to tolerate living in Las Vegas for all its other shortcomings is that now and again you could get the hookup. You get those free Beyonce tickets,
but now
Layla.
And again, for locals, does it really make that much of a difference for locals? I think, like Kim said, everybody wants to be involved in comp culture, but not everybody is. And I think that's why we talk about it so much, because it's like an exclusive club that everyone's trying to get into. But I don't think a lot of people are actually, at least locals, like, are a lot of locals actually comped that much to make a difference?
It depends on kind of the circles you're in. I think Vegas is still small town enough that in various pockets, I know Kim Foster gets comps to stuff. I know I get comps to stuff. And I know you get comps to stuff, Layla. And I don't know if we're not representative of our community. I like to think that we are. But, big or small, they're around. Well, I wonder if getting back to the original question of this ethics complaint, which I don't know if it's going to go anywhere or not. And it's not the first ethics complaint against politicians or electeds or administrative people for getting freebies for stuff that they're involved in. If we should have a discussion about the protocol of freebie, like, yes, you're allowed to take the ticket to the Super Bowl. Yes, you're allowed to go to the boxing match. Yes, you can go to the F1, but here's how you have to behave. And here's what you have to bring back to your public agency. It's not just about rewarding you and giving you a party, but at least have some semblance that you're doing the people's work when you're having the fun time.
Yeah. I think a plan would have helped them a lot here.
Okay, so this is homework for the Ethics Commission. Don't spank all our commissioners really hard, but give them assignments. Like, here's how you need to proceed in the future when someone gives you something really cool.
I like that. This is totally the Vegas way.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, CEO of CityCast. Or, as I can say now, thanks to a few weeks with Babbel, hola, soy David Plotz, el jefe de CityCast. What if in 2024 you got a little bit better every day? When you're learning a new language with Babbel, that's exactly what you're doing. And if Babbel can help me start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks, imagine what you could do in a full year. I got started with Babbel because I realized that my girlfriend, who's a native Spanish speaker, and my son, who's in AP Spanish, were conspiring against me, or I thought they were conspiring against me in Spanish. I wanted to know what they were talking about. And now, thanks to literally just a few weeks of Babbel, I'm starting to be able to eavesdrop. It is rare that something so fun and simple, and Babbel is super fun and very simple, is also so useful. So here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Speaking of morally fraught, let's move on to topic number 2, which is the fake electors case, which got dismissed. Layla, what happened there?
So last Friday in a hearing, a judge dismissed charges against 6 prominent Nevada Republicans accused of submitting invalid slate of electoral votes for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. The case involved Nevada GOP Chairman Michael McDonald and Republican National Committeeman Jim DeGraffenreid and others who faced serious charges, including offering false instrument for filing and uttering a forged instrument for allegedly submitting fake elector documents claiming Nevada's electoral votes for Trump. The decision by Clark County Judge Mary Kay Halthus came after she ruled that Clark County was not the appropriate jurisdiction for the case. She said it should have been filed in Douglas County, where the documents were sent from, or Carson City, where they were signed. This was the first fake elector case to be dismissed. There are similar cases in Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. Of course, Attorney General Aaron Ford had comments. He expressed his disagreement with the judge's decision and announced plans to appeal to the state Supreme Court. David, I know you've talked about this in the past, and you actually called that this was likely to be dismissed. Why did you think that this case would be dismissed?
Well, it was always kind of a wonky prosecution. Initially, Attorney General Aaron Ford came out and he said that he had looked in the Nevada law books and he proclaimed, and I'm going to actually quote him here just so we don't get it wrong because he has pushed back on this quote, but it's actually what he said. He said that the current state statutes did not directly address this conduct in question. And then, nonetheless, just before the 3rd anniversary of this conduct in question, Attorney General Ford went to a grand jury and got the indictment for the 2 felony counts down here in Clark County. And a lot of observers at the time, not just myself, thought that the indictment against the fake electors was on very shaky grounds from the start, especially as it relates to where it was filed. So, there was a judge who takes things very literally, who they drew, Judge Mary Kay Halthus. Knowing that judge, knowing the law, knowing the history here, it really did seem that jurisdiction was going to be the main reason why this thing was going to get bumped. Now, there is still a narrow pathway for keeping it alive. But this whole folly of holding these folks accountable in any way for what's at least arguably a brazen effort to sow seeds of distrust in our democratic institutions seems to be a real folly in the end, because all sides now are spinning it in ways that unironically is not sowing seeds of trust in our democratic institutions.
Yes.
So that's where we're going.
How likely is it, David, for the Attorney General Aaron Ford to submit a successful appeal? Isn't he running out of time?
So, theoretically, he could go up to Carson City or up to Douglas County and file one of those charges, the perjury charge that still has some gas left in the statute of limitations. But, he really wants it to be in Clark County, which you could guess whatever reason you want why he'd rather be in Clark County than up in a rural. But
Dems.
yeah,
Dems.
maybe. But on appeal, I kind of believe the judge is right here on jurisdiction. There was very, 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 one more, very de minimis contact with Clark County in this whole weird scheme.
So do you think that it's political in the sense that they're trying to get it, they're using jurisdiction as a way to play politics? Or do you think this was really a ruling about jurisdiction?
You're asking the wrong guy, because I think that most prosecutions are political at their core. How they're written,
Fair.
who actually gets the brunt of most prosecutions, et cetera, is all a big game of politics from where I stand. That said,
That makes sense.
he is vulnerable to these allegations. Like, why pick Clark County? He really does have a basis to defend himself against, that it's purely political. But it's not a good look. And also, it's not a good look when you file something and it gets dismissed,
Yeah. But these guys actually did the thing. So this ruling is not about...
They did a thing. That's
They
the
did
big
a thing.
thing. They did a thing. The question is it criminal? And if it is criminal, what charges should it have been? And why did the Attorney General say from the very beginning that nothing was directly on point if there were things directly available?
Oh, okay.
I think, having read thousands, if not tens of thousands of indictments in my career, that this would not get a good grade as far as quality indictment that wasn't vulnerable to a million different kinds of attacks, or at least a dozen. And I think that the litigators here were very prepared to argue that not only is jurisdiction an issue, but that these charges just don't fit the conduct that we all observed. I mean, heck, they were sending out press releases saying, we're doing this. They were essentially saying, Biden did not win the election, Trump did, and we're the electors. And, one of the press releases that came out, guys, literally said, we are going to send this to Congress so it can be read on the congressional floor on January 6th. That was in a Republican press release. I mean, apparently January 6th was some big day for certifying something or whatever, but you can make an argument that they were heavily involved here in Nevada with some shenanigans that led to some problems in this country. But the question still remains, was it criminal? I mean, how do you think the public is taking this dismissal? Do you think this will impact people's trust in the judicial system on any side of the equation?
I think it might impact people's trust in the Attorney General's office. I mean, to me, reading all the facts, their handling of this case seems off. And I wonder if they had acted quicker or filed in a different county or had different charges, if they might have had a better chance.
Kim, what do you think?
Well, I guess I'm worried that the general public will feel that this was dismissed because it doesn't have merit on its face, and that somehow we won't be able, because there's this amorphous place where these shenanigans, I like your word, shenanigans happen. We're going to have an election this year, and everybody knows, in November. And, there is the fear of more shenanigans. And if we're not holding people to account for these kinds of betrayals, acts of treason, sorry, I know that's
from where you stand. From where
I stand. I know not legally, but from where I stand, it just feels, to me, it feels like a very, very serious lie perpetrated to the public, and that we're not holding people to account for misleading people, saying things that aren't true. We're really undermining the democratic process. And if we're not holding people to account for that, it's kind of scary. Like, it just feels scary to me.
The people accused now are saying, you got to stop calling us fake electors. But, in the court of public opinion, I think we all saw what we saw and can come to our own conclusions. Maybe there's a better name than fake electors.
Wait, they don't think they're fake electors?
No, I mean, their whole point is they're like, look, we believe at the time that there were legitimate concerns about the electoral process, that Biden didn't win Nevada, and we just wanted to be at the ready as an alternative slate because that's what the system allows. I mean, they have it all worked out.
So they've rewritten the story.
Yeah, and people didn't attach any other name to him. They didn't start calling him the Shady Bunch or the Seditious Six or, anything like that. I mean, I was going down the rabbit hole trying to come up because Michael McDonald is the party chairman. He's from down here. At one point, I called him the Dubious Brothers featuring Michael McDonald, which is a throwback for you boomers. But, but now they're going to say we were vindicated.
That's the message. That's the message now. We were vindicated. This is
it's frustrating.
And so, and it's frustrating and it's scary because people are just going to hear that and be like, oh, there weren't fake electors. This narrative is totally true. These people didn't try to dupe the system.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't think everyone needs to go to prison for conduct that breaks societal norms. I also don't think that everyone needs to be prosecuted for it, but there needs to be much more mature ways to hold people accountable when they try to, potentially upset democracy as we know it.
Yeah. And for the record, also, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think the judge ruled wrong. I don't think she really had jurisdiction over something that happened in the north of the state. So I honestly, to me, it looks like it was filed in the wrong place. And I wish it was filed in a different jurisdiction so we could see them go through and if they were actually vindicated for this act or not. I feel like this is kind of like a wah wah.
Wah, wah,
oh, yeah,
indeed.
that's right. Wah, wah. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to our final topic. Life is Beautiful is not Life is Beautiful anymore-ish. Oh, my gosh. So there'd been a lot of speculation, of course. Where's Life is Beautiful? It just celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2023. Another fun, great party. We talked about it a lot on the podcast. Big lineup, big event, a lot of different things happening. Arts and food, weird culture, and, of course, all sorts of different types of music. It started getting very obvious. They have new owners. Rolling Stone, the conglomerate, former magazine, I guess, took it over. The Downtown Project folks kind of pushed to the side. That all said, we were like, tick-tock, y'all. If you're going to do this big street festival over multiple blocks of, the downtown cityscape, you probably need to start pulling permits. You probably need to get contracts signed. You probably should start selling tickets, And then when it was typically February, then turned to March, April, May, June, and here we are. And then the rollout it's now called Life is Beautiful Presents The Beautiful Block Party, or words to that effect. The rollout was clunky. Let's just say that. It was a smaller lineup. Details are being unveiled a little bit at a time, which always sucks, but that's kind of a Life is Beautiful thing too. So here's what we do know. It's going to be September 27th and 28th. We have learned, although this was a little confusing in the rollout, that it will be at a lot owned by the Plaza Hotel, that the Plaza Hotel downtown is involved in it. And we have a lineup. The big names on there are bands like Justice, LCD Sound System. There's about a dozen or more over this 2-day period. Not a lot of details. What else is there? What remnants of the old Life is Beautiful will remain? And one huge miscue, and I'll end it here, is that they said, so come to the beautiful block party in the Arts District, which, as we all know, is not where the Plaza Hotel is located. It's over a mile away, and a whole aesthetic different. So,
exactly.
Why do you guys think they branded it as an Arts District event when it's not even in the Arts District? That's the first question.
I mean, the Arts District as a location sounds better to me than it's in a parking lot at the Plaza.
I think right now there's this, Main Street. I like to just call it Main Street because I know it's not just Main Street, but I feel like whether we have an arts district anymore is sort of up for question. Although it does sound cool to have an event there because there are really beautiful events there. To me, this feels very symbolic of a shift in focus away from Fremont downtown project and sort of this like sentimental shift towards Main Street, the Arts District, to that kind of commercial growth that's happening there. It feels very symbolic to me. Everybody wants to be in the Arts District now, or I would like to call it the Brewery District. But everybody wants to be in the Brewery District. Everybody wants to be involved there. And I think these guys are no less wanting to sort of capitalize on that a bit.
Oh, so you think it might have been more shifty than accidental?
Oh, I think it's totally shifty. Oh, wait, is that right?
Well, I want to go back to what Layla said, because Layla, I didn't mean to be dismissive of you. I think you're right. I mean, Arts District is cool and hip right now in everyone's mind. A hotel, a casino, per se is not. No matter how cool Plaza is, it's still a casino at its core.
That definitely steps away from like what the vibe of Life is Beautiful, the festival is. Like, it's through the city streets. You're walking on closed down roadways through downtown Las Vegas. And I feel like saying that it's located at the Arts District kind of gives you that feeling instead of, oh, it's located at the Plaza, which is totally different location, totally different vibe than through the city streets. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, we don't know if there's going to be any art there. Like, isn't usually like art like this really, really important part of, I've never been to Life is Beautiful, but I imagine art was very much, there were like Burning Man type pieces and things like that. Maybe there is no art this time and they're just putting it in the Arts District in this hope of like creating this kind of creative sort of environment.
I think you're right, Kim, where we don't know, but I think they want to keep that like feeling of this is still a community arts festival. Because even when we had an interview with the director of music programming and development, Craig Nyman, last year, he said that he's planning 2024 and it's a mixed bag of if it happens downtown, and it's an ever-evolving footprint. So I think they kind of saw this coming and with their marketing want to still make it feel like it's an arts festival based in community.
Well, that's the key, marketing. And I absolutely get that. Look, I want to give all due credit to the Plaza Hotel. They are the most art-forward hotel of all the casinos in the Fremont district over there.
You're here.
They've got the giant murals up on the walls, and they've had like pop-ups in some of their other spaces there. So they're committed to that cause. And I talked to CEO Jonathan Jossel. We had a little texting back and forth. And I was like, man, poor Plaza, there have been articles already. They're all saying this is in the Arts District. They didn't even brand you guys. Like, you got left out. And, he acknowledged that it might have been a little rough start. But he also said, look, once we announced the lineup and it became clear to people that we're participating in, he said it's been nothing but positive for them, and they're really looking forward to being a part of it, and they think that they're going to get a huge bump out of participating in this, and that they're going to be able to continue that sort of community aspect. But if you do listen back to the podcast that we did here with the then director of development for Life is Beautiful, I push back that it really ever was a community event, that was a very fragile way to describe what this giant party Life is Beautiful really was all about.
Yeah. Well, now more than ever, now that Rolling Stones is involved, because I hear from the grapevine that they got rid of some of their local teams. So maybe it was also like someone who doesn't live in Las Vegas and was like, oh yeah, the Plaza is in the Arts District. Let's just say that it's located in the Arts District. So maybe it came down from like someone higher up in Rolling Stones marketing that doesn't understand the difference.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're trying to stretch the Arts District to make all of downtown hip again. Hooray. But let's do this for funsies. So it doesn't look like it's ever going to come back to, I don't know, what was 18 blocks of footprint that we had gotten used to for 10 years, going all the way down. I hope
that's wrong.
Almost to Maryland Parkway. So what do y'all think should replace the former footprint of Life is Beautiful this fall and future falls instead? And I only want fun answers from y'all.
I think we should have an affordable Formula One race for locals. Like, locals are the drivers. Locals participate. It's affordable. Everyone can attend, family-friendly, through the streets of downtown.
Oh, my God. I'm already renting my space on top of the Atomic Saloon to watch the Zoom Zoom go by.
So many good places to view that.
How about you, Kim?
I think we should have a dog-focused event where we close down the streets, we make it safe, we let our animals just go. And instead of selling treats for humans, there's like places your dog can go to get like a little biscuit and like cool organic treats and stuff like that. And they just get to like run all over the place. And there's all kinds of like little amusements for our dogs.
I love that.
Yay.
That reminds me of Petapalooza that they used to do at Desert Breeze Park.
Ooh, yes, exactly.
Mine starts from a throwback. Not terribly long ago, we used to do the Halloween parade down on Fremont Street, all the way in that area. And it would be all the locals would get together, mostly artists, but also just weirdo creatives and freaks and people who love dressing up and bands and whatever. And there would be a procession of, like an old school town parade. And there was an MC, which 2 years was me, by the way. FYI, I am available if this idea does get revived. But
of course it was.
Of course it was. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Look, it was a party that happened all night, and it was so organic, and it was so local. And I think that's my pitch, is a festival that just celebrates all the effed up, wonderful, crazy, like borderline, fringy stuff that exists already in our community, and just celebrate it, capping it off with regular Fremont Street parades like they do at Disneyland, with even, bring the plaza in with all their fireworks. They've got so many fireworks. I'm sure they have like a warehouse full of them.
I love that.
Okay, I want to bring back the Halloween parade. How do we bring back
it's
the
around
Halloween
the same
parade?
time.
That's a great
throw
idea.
Petapalooza in there too. Bring Petapalooza back too.
There'll be a section of the parade where the dogs just get to go nuts.
Yeah, the dogs get their own part of it. I love it. All right, well, Kim Foster and Layla Muhammad, thanks again for a wonderful Friday News Roundup.
Love being with you guys.
Thanks, y'all.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editor is Rob Katchelreese. And our hosts are Sarah Lohman and me, David Figler. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Leave us a review. We read the reviews. They're so instructive. And subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky.